Let's basically just start by understanding that there is a lot of negativity on social media, and we know this already. I've talked about it, but the fact is we're actually drawn to it. We're drawn to negativity because of this thing called negativity bias. Okay? And our minds are already naturally tending to go towards this negativity bias because it's a phenomenon where we're really sensitive to really crazy news, and especially when they're impactful to our emotions, they're really touching our emotions and making our perceptions change a little bit. And it's a little bit a difficult thing because we're in a different world where we don't need this negativity. You hear people all the time, they're talking about you can't be around such negative people, you can't surround yourself with negativity, you have to be positive all the time. And let me tell you something. This is true, but it's also not true. The fact that you want a positive experience is a negative experience in itself because you are experiencing something that is not positive and it's not actually there. It's lacking it. And so it's a negative experience already. So you have to be basically certain in the uncertainty that there is a negative experience going on, and you have to be accepting of it, no matter what. But it's actually been an evolutionary thing that has been another survival mechanism that we've built into ourselves because our ancestors, they needed to have some sort of negativity switch in their heads to prioritize threats for survival, right? And this is like really, really deep seated, like an instinct that basically draws us towards negativity today. It's this bias that we already are tuned to negativity, and we assume that everything is going to be negative by the fact that we don't know what we don't know. We're uncertain. And there's this fact that because a lot of things have gone wrong, we like to tend to think the wrong way because the better off we think wrong and like we think negative, the more off we're going to be safe, the more off we're going to be planning and be one step ahead of that negativity that comes into our lives because we think it's inevitable for it to happen. And it's actually right. We are correct on that because it is inevitable for negativity to happen. But most people don't actually accept that. And so what social media does is they capitalize on this by making this bias really amplified and sensitive to our negative emotion concept. And this content out there is always trying to just attack it and garner more engagements and interactions to be able to really drive us in and to hold us there to be able to make us scared. And so this is exactly like what I've experienced in my life. I remember the time when there was this whole debate on Trump or Biden, and there was the election going on, and there was all of this information and negativity about both ends. There was negativity about what would happen if Trump were to be reelected and what would happen if Biden were to be elected. And you see, there's all this negativity out there that's there to scare you. And whatever algorithm that is tuned to you is going to give you that information based on what it really wants. And those people who are guiding the biggest push out for the content of negativity and more of an agenda is going to be the ones who get the most fear out of you because fear is an emotion that we drive based on our decisions. And when our decision making emotion is fear and negativity, it comes out of us and we want to go away. So we do the thing that makes us not feel that anymore, which is pushing that feeling away by not actually sitting with it and understanding it and seeing what are the actual consequences because we want to push it away as quick as possible to not be actually involved in it because it's not something we want to accept. If we accept that negativity into our lives, then it's almost like we're accepting negativity. And we don't want to accept negativity because otherwise we are portraying and are looked at and people are looking at us as a negative person. So we can't do that, right? It makes sense. So there's just so much information out there, right? That is just throwing at us. It's just this throw up of negativity. And it's a strain that really occurs on us when our brain is just always informing ourselves with negativity all the time. And it's impacting our ability to actually think clearly and make rational decisions, not emotional decisions. And this is just a thing that we do. We're humans. We do our decision making typically on our emotions. That's where majority of our decisions come from, is our feelings on how we feel towards this certain result. And through that result, we think of the feelings that we will get from that, or feelings that will not be there when we get that. And that's where fear and negativity come into play. We want to remove ourselves from it, but we're also geared towards it as much as possible. We're attracted to it so that we can remove ourselves from it as much as possible. By removing ourselves, we are planning ahead. But you can't necessarily plan ahead negativity because you don't even know what's going on in your future. You have no say in what actually is going to go on. The only thing that's actually ever true about the future is what is happening right now. If you're making the decisions right now that is going to make you fearful, it is going to be a result of whatever is going to happen because you're taking the actions right now that lead into some sort of negative thing happening. Okay? You have to really hone in on what your actions are right now and make those decisions based on what the actual result you want to achieve or the side effect you want to achieve. The side effect should be the actual tangible and material results. The real goal should be something that is internal. Okay? This is something just like a side note. But, anyways, yes, negativity has its relevance online. It's actually quite important at times, especially when we are involved in a situation that is needed for negativity to be able to really push us into a certain situation that is going to make us make a decision. But that decision is, again, not rational. So we have to really, really evaluate that decision. And it's going to overwhelm us when we feel that negativity and the fear and all of the decisions that we have to make because of the unknowns. And we don't like the unknowns. So we have to really make sure that our focus is not reduced and we're not fatigued to be able to have situations where we're actually making an impact. Okay? So this is what I suggest. Basically, I want you to focus on a task and just make sure that these tasks are really rational and not emotion based. And you know what these emotions feel like because you have been following along my journey of explaining how you work, and you understand now that you feel this part in your body when you feel fear, when you feel negativity, when you feel anxiety, when you feel depressed, you know? So you know already what that feels like. So when you feel that emotion, because you are already very mindful and very aware, you will be able to take a step back and be like, okay, I can't make a decision right now because I am feeling fearful. I am negative right now, and that's okay. I'm making a decision because I don't want to be negative. And that in itself is also a negative experience. Just like I explained before, you wanting a positive experience is a negative experience, and you not wanting a negative experience is also a negative experience. By the fact that you are lacking it. You are lacking it, meaning you don't have it. You just, again, have to accept the uncertainty. Be certain in the uncertainty. Forget everything that you know, because you are nothing except what you are right now. And everything that you're feeling from the past into the future is not actually real, because it's based on your life situation and whatever emotions that are going on through the thought processes that you have every single second of the day. It's not real except what is in front of you, what is used by your senses, what you can taste, what you can feel. right? So, really understand what your negative feelings are again, and make sure you're making those decisions based on what is true for you. I can't tell you what those rational decisions are going to be because you are the only person that's ever going to be making a decision in your life that is going to be good for you. No one can actually tell you what decision to make. You are only being influenced and given maybe tips and advice, but you have to trust your gut. Always ask your gut what is the real answer. I've experienced a lot of negativity in my life. I remember plenty of times in my past in college and in high school when I was around negative people. They told me I couldn't do this. They told me I couldn't do that. They told me all these things about myself that were very negative. They told me I was short. They told me I was skinny. They told me that they basically was able to push me around and bully me because I I wasn't strong enough to accept that negativity, to be able to reject it because I was actually getting validation and attention, which is what I have valued as a metric most back then. So you have to be able to take into account what is actually negative in your life and understand it. I don't want you to push it out quite like so forcefully. I want you to notice it and just be aware. Because when you try to force all this negativity out of your life, it's something that you want more out of life, right? And when you want something more out of life, it's as if you don't have enough right now. And so if you don't feel like you are enough right now, it's going to get you back into those feelings of like, do I even deserve this? Do I even deserve to feel good? Well, you are feeling exactly what you're feeling right now because of everything that you are thinking about. Thinking leads to feeling, and feeling leads to action. So you have you have a lot going on, right? There's a lot of negativity in your life. There may or may not be. But the thing is, if you are aware of it, you become more in tune with that negativity that is feeling up your body, and you will be able to regulate what you want to happen, but not doing it so forcefully. You are able to step away from the situation. You are able to make decisions around the fact, right? You were not using that negativity as a force to make a decision. That is the biggest key factor of what I want you to realize. And social media has really put this into our minds by giving us all this negativity. Again, if you want to understand why we feel negative, go back to the beginning of this episode. But again, I want you to ground yourself, really be able to understand your emotional responses and regain that self of control. You are the only person capable of doing this, and no one is going to actually tell you what you are feeling right now. And so you're going to have to really accept that. You're going to have to be moving with that. You can't push it away. And it's going to be hard to manage. But this is how you grow as an individual. Recognize where negativity is in your life. And that starts with social media.